On screen, they commanded attention. Off-screen, they manipulated, tormented, and in some cases, destroyed. From icy rivalries to shocking acts of control, these women rewrote what it meant to be ruthless in a man's world. Their stories reveal how power, vanity, and vengeance could twist even the brightest stars into something unrecognizable. Let's take a look at 17 of the most sadistic actresses of Hollywood's golden age. Women whose cruelty, whether born from survival or ego, turned fame into a weapon. Joan Crawford. At the center of Hollywood's cruelty lore stands Joan Crawford, the glamorous star of Mildred Pierce and Whatever Happened to Baby Jane. Her public persona projected resilience and sophistication. But decades later, her adopted daughter Christina described a household ruled by fear. In a 2008 feature for The Guardian, Christina recalled an incident when she was 13. Her mother grabbed her by the throat, punched and slammed her head against the floor, and looked at her with hatred and the will to kill. She described Joan as a tyrannical parent, whose violent outbursts contrasted sharply with the Hollywood press's portrayal of her as a beneficent mother. Christina's memoir, Mommy Dearest, portrayed Crawford as a perfectionist and alcoholic who punished even minor misbehavior with disproportionate force. Some of Crawford's other children disputed these allegations and insisted she was loving, and friends claimed Christina embellished the stories. But the book indelibly associated the actress with sadistic parenting. Crawford's cruelty extended beyond her family. She bullied co-stars on set and allegedly sabotaged younger actresses whom she saw as rivals. Even those who admired her professionalism acknowledged her toughness. Director George Cukor once said she was a charming, fascinating woman, yet very aggressive, while gossip columnist Hedda Hopper called her a wild cat in a fight. Regardless of which accounts one believes, the narrative of Crawford's cruelty has become part of her legacy. Bette Davis. An icon of the golden age, Bette Davis was celebrated for her fearlessness on screen, but was also reputed to be combative and domineering off camera. Her daughter, B.D. Hyman, published a memoir, My Mother's Keeper, in 1985. A later analysis in Bustle summarized Hyman's recollections of a childhood of wealth that masked disturbing behavior. Hyman claimed that after marrying actor Gary Merrill, Davis drank heavily and staged mock suicides to punish her family. She purportedly pulled her daughter out of school at 11 to act as her assistant. Merrill acknowledged that the couple drank and fought, but insisted Hyman exaggerated. Davis retaliated in her own memoir, including a letter accusing her daughter of ingratitude for the privileged life she enjoyed. Despite the bitter family feud, it is clear that Davis's formidable personality carried over into her private life. Numerous co-stars recalled her penchant for confrontation. During the filming of All About Eve, she sparred with director Joseph L. Mankiewicz and quarreled with co-star Ann Baxter. Her long-running feud with Miriam Hopkins, fueled by jealousy over men and roles, led to on-set tantrums and rumored sabotage. Like Crawford, Davis often used her influence to demand script changes or to insist that her co-stars be cast or replaced. Whether one interprets these actions as cruelty or as a woman asserting power in a male-dominated industry, they helped build her reputation for intimidating toughness. Hedda Hopper. Though best known as a gossip columnist, Hedda Hopper began her career as a silent film actress and harnessed that experience to become one of Hollywood's most feared figures. In her syndicated column and radio broadcasts, she presented herself as a moral guardian, denouncing stars who failed to meet her conservative standards. Hopper proudly collaborated with the House Un-American Activities Committee during the Red Scare and weaponized her platform against suspected communists, gay actors, and those she deemed immoral. Her Wikipedia biography notes that she targeted individuals she suspected of being communists or homosexuals, and bragged that she could destroy careers. She fed names to the FBI, leading to the blacklisting of screenwriters such as Dalton Trumbo, and to Charlie Chaplin being denied re-entry into the United States after visiting Britain. When Ingrid Bergman became pregnant by the married Italian director Roberto Rossellini, Hopper launched a harsh campaign condemning her as immoral. Writers have described Hopper as acid-tongued and shrewd. A Please Kill Me retrospective noted that she used her 35 million reader platform to ruin those she disliked, and that she had the ability to make or break careers. Her style of cruelty was psychological rather than physical, wielding gossip as a weapon, and she reveled in the fear she inspired. Few actresses wielded such destructive power while remaining outside the studio hierarchy. Louella Parsons. Before Hopper, there was Louella Parsons, the original Hollywood gossip queen, whose 1920s to the 50s column was syndicated in hundreds of newspapers. Parsons projected a sweet and maternal persona, but she could be ruthless when defending her employer William Randolph Hearst, or punishing those who crossed her. Her Wikipedia entry recounts the Citizen Kane affair, in which she allegedly threatened RKO executives with lawsuits and a press blackout to prevent the release of Orson Welles' thinly veiled portrayal of Hearst. She promised to expose private lives and long-suppressed scandals if they allowed the film to open. Parsons also warned Radio City Music Hall that if it screened the film, she would orchestrate a full media blackout, prompting the premiere to be canceled. Colleagues described her ability to destroy reputations with a single phone call. When star Clara Bow fell out of Hearst's favor, Parsons reportedly threatened the studios with scandal stories unless Bow was blacklisted. She also engaged in a prolonged feud with fellow columnist Hedda Hopper, trading insults and leaks about each other's clients. While Parsons' cruelty manifested through the written word rather than physical violence, her manipulative tactics, blackmail, threats, and character assassination ruined careers and contributed to Hollywood's climate of fear. Tallulah Bankhead. Tallulah Bankhead was a stage and screen actress whose talent was matched only by her appetite for excess. A Weebly biography notes that Bankhead was infamous for her outrageous behavior, consuming gin and bourbon like water, smoking over 100 cigarettes a day, and openly taking drugs. She was celebrated for her wit and generosity. She often raised money for underprivileged children and loved animals, but she also displayed a volatile temper. According to the same account, Bankhead could be cruel and vindictive when crossed, striking back at perceived slights. On stage, she was known to upstage co-stars and deliver cutting remarks. She once told an actress wearing a revealing dress, "Darling, leave the girl inside some clothes." Her sexual freedom shocked conservative audiences, and she relished scandalous anecdotes about her affairs with both men and women. Co-workers recounted that Bankhead would deliberately arrive late, disregard directors' instructions, and sabotage scenes if she felt slighted. Yet there were also tales of her kindness. She paid hospital bills for crew members and invited struggling actors to dinner. Such contradictions make it difficult to categorize Bankhead as purely cruel. Rather, she embodied extremes of generosity and vindictiveness, leaving a legacy of both admiration and fear. Zsa Zsa Gabor. The flamboyant Hungarian-born socialite and actress Zsa Zsa Gabor cultivated an image of extravagance and witty one-liners. In reality, she often resorted to physical confrontations. In June 1989, a Beverly Hills police officer pulled her over for a traffic violation. She slapped him across the face during the stop. According to her Wikipedia biography, Gabor was convicted of slapping the officer, driving without a license, and possessing an open container of alcohol. She was sentenced to 3 days in jail, fined, and ordered to perform community service, though she initially refused and served her jail time instead. The incident exemplified her pattern of aggressive responses when challenged. Gabor was also involved in a long-running feud with German actress Elke Sommer. After years of trading insults, Sommer sued Gabor and her husband for defamation. A Los Angeles court ordered Gabor and her husband to pay Sommer US $3.3 million in damages. While these episodes may seem petty compared with other tales in this list, they reveal a propensity for physical and verbal cruelty beneath Gabor's glamorous facade. She famously quipped, "I am a marvelous housekeeper. Every time I leave a man, I keep his house." But behind the jokes lay real bitterness from a string of divorces and lawsuits. Ava Gardner. Ava Gardner was one of the most charming stars of the 1940s and the 1950s, but behind her sultry screen persona lay a notoriously volatile temperament. Raised in rural North Carolina, she rose to fame after signing with MGM. Her marriages to Mickey Rooney, bandleader Artie Shaw, and singer Frank Sinatra were marred by jealousy and violence. Friends recalled her throwing ashtrays, bottles, and even a heavy lamp at Shaw during drunken arguments. Biographer Peter Evans claimed that Gardner once hit Sinatra in the face with a shoe after she caught him flirting. She drank heavily and reportedly carried a gun. During her affair with actor George C. Scott in the early 1960s, she allegedly endured and inflicted physical abuse. Scott later told reporters that their fights were like a small battlefield. Although these stories have become part of Hollywood folklore, few contemporaneous sources exist to corroborate them. Gardner herself admitted in her memoir, Ava, My Story, that she and Sinatra fought violently at times, though she insisted it stemmed from passion rather than malice. The lack of definitive documentation means that many tales of her cruelty remain rumors, but they contribute to her reputation as a tempestuous and sometimes dangerous partner. Miriam Hopkins. Miriam Hopkins was a gifted actress who excelled in pre-code dramas and was nominated for an Academy Award for Becky Sharp, 1935. She also gained notoriety for her fierce rivalries and alleged sabotage of colleagues. Hopkins's most infamous feud was with Bette Davis. The two stars first clashed on the set of The Old Maid, 1939, and again during Old Acquaintance, 1943. Contemporary gossip columns reported that Hopkins deliberately delayed shooting, insisted on multiple costume changes, and sometimes kicked Davis under the table during scenes. Off-set, she bragged about stealing roles from Davis and boasted of having an affair with Franchot Tone, who had been engaged to Joan Crawford. Hopkins demanded top billing and threw tantrums when directors instructed her to tone down her performance. Her colleagues dubbed her the bitch of the lot. While many of these stories are likely embellished, biographer Alan Ellenberger argues that Hopkins was more insecure than malicious. Her reputation as a troublemaker endured. Davis later admitted, "Miriam is a perfectly charming woman socially. Working with her is another story." Hopkins's cruelty thus appears to have been contextual. She fiercely protected her career and resented any perceived slight, leading to behavior that colleagues remembered as selfish and abusive. Katharine Hepburn. Katharine Hepburn's intelligence, independence, and androgynous style made her one of Hollywood's most admired stars, yet she was also known for her imperious manner and abrasive candor. Hepburn did not tolerate incompetence. She once halted filming on the Philadelphia Story to berate the crew for moving too slowly. According to film historian A. Scott Berg, she humiliated a wardrobe assistant by cutting her dress to pieces after it failed to fit properly. She often refused press interviews and responded to personal questions with biting remarks. In her autobiography, Hepburn admitted that she could be a holy terror on set. Co-star Cary Grant described her as a tyrant, although he added that her demands were usually justified by her commitment to excellence. Hepburn's longtime partner Spencer Tracy endured her controlling nature and sometimes responded in kind. The couple's arguments were legendary. Few colleagues accused Hepburn of physical violence, but many considered her emotionally cruel. She was known to cut people out of her life for perceived slights and never forgave those she considered disloyal. Despite these traits, Hepburn earned 4 Oscars and is often praised for pioneering roles for women. Her so-called cruelty may have been a byproduct of surviving a patriarchal industry while refusing to play by its rules. Olivia de Havilland. Olivia de Havilland is celebrated for her role as Melanie Hamilton in Gone with the Wind and for her landmark lawsuit against Warner Brothers that broke studio contracts. Less publicized is her lifelong feud with her sister, actress Joan Fontaine. The sisters competed fiercely from childhood and carried their rivalry into Hollywood. According to family friends, de Havilland sabotaged Fontaine's audition for Rebecca by telling producer David O. Selznick that Fontaine lacked charisma. After Fontaine won the Best Actress Oscar for Suspicion, 1941, de Havilland refused to congratulate her at the ceremony. In her later memoir, Fontaine alleged that de Havilland never forgave her for winning first, and subsequently spread rumors about her being ungrateful. In 1943, de Havilland married novelist Marcus Goodrich. At the wedding, she reportedly told relatives that her sister was not invited because we are not related. When their mother died in 1975, de Havilland did not inform Fontaine of the funeral arrangements, causing a permanent estrangement. Supporters argue that Fontaine exaggerated these slights, pointing out that de Havilland was known for her generosity with friends. Nevertheless, the image of Olivia de Havilland as a sister who deliberately inflicted emotional cruelty persists in Hollywood folklore. Joan Fontaine. Joan Fontaine's version of the de Havilland feud paints her sister as the aggressor, but some colleagues considered Fontaine equally manipulative. She cultivated an image of the fragile ingenue, yet off-screen she could be calculating. During the filming of Alfred Hitchcock's Rebecca, she reportedly feigned extreme anxiety to elicit sympathy from the director and to ensure favorable coverage in the press. Fontaine wrote in her memoir that she and Laurence Olivier clashed because he felt she received special treatment. She retaliated by hiding his costumes and spreading rumors about his vanity. In later years, she boasted about refusing to speak to her sister at family gatherings and telling mutual friends that Olivia was mentally unstable. Fontaine's competitiveness extended to other actresses. She wrote letters to producers criticizing Judy Garland and insisted on rewriting dialogue to upstage co-stars. Like her sister, Fontaine refused to apologize or reconcile, maintaining the feud until her death. Whether her behavior qualifies as cruelty or simply as sibling rivalry is debatable, but many contemporaries viewed Fontaine's manipulative tactics as evidence of a darker side beneath her ethereal screen persona. Marlene Dietrich. Marlene Dietrich became an international star with The Blue Angel 1930 and parlayed her exotic image into Hollywood stardom. Beneath her glamorous exterior, she was a perfectionist who demanded absolute control. Dietrich insisted on dictating her lighting, costumes, and camera angles. Cinematographers who failed to accentuate her cheekbones were fired on the spot. Director Josef von Sternberg, her mentor and sometime lover, tolerated her ways because of her talent, but others found her insufferable. Co-star Fritz Lang recalled that Dietrich slapped a hairdresser who accidentally singed her wig, then refused to apologize. She also exercised cruelty in her personal relationships. Dietrich had a long-term affair with French actor Jean Gabin. When he refused to leave his wife, she publicly humiliated him by leaking details of their affair. She frequently derided other actresses as cows and reveled in seducing the husbands of her friends. Dietrich's daughter, Maria Riva, wrote in her memoir that her mother could be emotionally distant and icy, withholding affection as a way of exerting control. At the same time, Dietrich risked her life entertaining Allied troops during the Second World War and was awarded the Medal of Freedom. The duality of her cruelty and courage makes her one of Hollywood's most enigmatic figures. Mary Pickford. Dubbed America's Sweetheart, Mary Pickford co-founded United Artists and wielded more power than any actress of her era. Her cherubic image masked a steely business sense and a ruthless streak. Pickford and her mother Charlotte reportedly exploited child labor laws to keep her working long hours on film sets. Co-stars who complained were replaced. Behind closed doors, she fought viciously with her first husband, actor Owen Moore, and allegedly beat him during drunken rages. At United Artists, she was known for undercutting the salaries of other actresses and for pulling strings to ensure her projects received the most favorable release dates. Pickford's marriage to actor Douglas Fairbanks was presented as a fairy tale romance, yet she demanded absolute loyalty and once banned Fairbanks from seeing his son for weeks after a minor disagreement. When their marriage deteriorated, she leaked stories to the press portraying herself as a victim and Fairbanks as an adulterer. Even so, Pickford donated generously to charity and established the Motion Picture Relief Fund. Her cruelty appears inseparable from her determination to maintain her empire in an industry that afforded few women such power. Gloria Swanson. Gloria Swanson's career epitomized the excess and ambition of silent-era Hollywood. Known for her extravagant wardrobe and commanding presence, she also developed a reputation for manipulating lovers and colleagues. Swanson engaged in an affair with Joseph P. Kennedy, father of future U.S. Q President John F. Kennedy, while he was financing her films. When he attempted to end the relationship, she threatened to expose their liaison and ruin his political aspirations. On set, she would demand reshoots until she was satisfied with her own appearance, ignoring co-stars' schedules and causing productions to run over budget. She fired directors who challenged her authority and refused to learn lines she considered beneath her dignity. Swanson's marriages were turbulent. She married 6 times and often used her wealth to control her spouses. In one instance, she forced her third husband, French aristocrat Henri de la Falaise, to sign a contract pledging fidelity and financial dependence. Yet, she also championed artistic independence and fought for creative control long before it was fashionable. Swanson's brand of cruelty thus reflected a determination to preserve her status in a male-dominated industry. Lana Turner. Lana Turner was nicknamed the Sweater Girl for her curvaceous figure, but her off-screen life was marred by violence and scandal. She grew up in an abusive household and, according to biographer Darwin Porter, internalized a cycle of cruelty. Turner married 7 times. Several husbands accused her of physical aggression. During her marriage to bandleader Artie Shaw, she reportedly smashed his trombone across his back in a jealous rage. She had an affair with gangster Johnny Stompanato. Their relationship was characterized by mutual violence. In 1958, Turner's teenage daughter, Cheryl Crane, stabbed Stompanato to death after, she claimed, he threatened to kill Turner during a fight. Though the killing was ruled justifiable homicide, newspapers reported that Turner had previously beaten Stompanato with a shoe. Co-workers described Turner as demanding and emotionally manipulative. On the set of Payton Place, she refused to speak to her co-stars between takes, and once cut a scene short because she disliked the camera angle. While some of her behavior can be viewed through the lens of trauma, Turner's life story includes numerous instances of violence and cruelty. Barbara Payton. Barbara Payton's brief Hollywood career was defined by scandal, self-destruction, and reports of cruelty. After gaining attention in Kiss Tomorrow Goodbye, 1950, she embarked on a turbulent love triangle with actor Franchot Tone and B-movie star Tom Neal. The rivalry culminated in a brutal fistfight in which Neal severely beat Tone, leaving him hospitalized with a fractured cheekbone and broken nose. Payton not only encouraged the fight, but later taunted Tone about his injuries, according to friends. She bragged to journalists about pitting the two men against each other and seemed to revel in the chaos. Payton drank heavily and was arrested multiple times for public intoxication, assault, and check fraud. Her off-screen scandals eclipsed her talent, leading studios to blacklist her by the mid-1950s. After her film career collapsed, she became a sex worker and was later convicted of prostitution. In 1963, she published I Am Not Ashamed, a startlingly frank autobiography that described her fall from stardom and hinted at mental instability, but avoided self-criticism. She died in 1967 at just 39, reportedly penniless in a seedy Hollywood apartment. Modern observers interpret her behavior through the lens of trauma and addiction, yet her manipulation of lovers and readiness to provoke violence left an enduringly dark legacy. Veronica Lake. Veronica Lake became famous in the early 1940s for her peekaboo hairstyle and cool, seductive screen presence. She also earned a reputation for being difficult and vindictive. Directors complained that she arrived hours late, refused to rehearse, and openly mocked co-stars. During the filming of Sullivan's Travels 1941, she clashed with director Preston Sturgis and co-star Joel McCrea. McCrea later said he would never work with her again, citing her egotism and cruelty. He claimed that she played practical jokes designed to humiliate him and told wardrobe staff to sabotage his costumes. Lake's marriage to director Andre de Toth was tempestuous. Neighbors reported screaming matches and dishes thrown from windows. Her heavy drinking exacerbated her erratic behavior, and she was arrested in 1951 for disorderly conduct after allegedly biting a police officer during a bar fight. While some colleagues insisted Lake was shy and misunderstood, the weight of anecdotal evidence suggests a pattern of cruelty mixed with self-destructive behavior. Her career declined rapidly, and she spent her later years working as a barmaid, reflecting the toll of her actions and addictions. Mae West. Mae West was a great actress, playwright, and sex symbol who challenged censorship laws with her bawdy stage shows and films. Her on-screen persona of sexual confidence masked a controlling streak. West wrote or rewrote most of her film scripts to ensure she received the wittiest lines and the most flattering angles. She insisted that male co-stars stand on boxes so they would not appear taller than her, and fired actresses she thought were too attractive. West's longtime companion and manager, Chester Rabinski, later claimed that she was emotionally abusive, keeping him financially dependent and forbidding him from pursuing other relationships. On the set of My Little Chickadee, 1940, she feuded with co-star W.C. Fields, spreading rumors that he was an alcoholic who could not remember his lines. According to crew members, she demanded that a prop gun be loaded with blanks as a joke, but misfired and injured an assistant, then refused to apologize. West's ambition and boundary pushing are admirable, but accounts of her manipulative behavior reveal a less charming side to the woman who purred, "When I'm good, I'm very good. But when I'm bad, I'm better." Jane Mansfield. Jane Mansfield was one of the 1950s most flamboyant actresses, often compared to Marilyn Monroe. Behind the giggles and pink convertibles, she allegedly treated people cruelly. Mansfield orchestrated publicity stunts that placed others in danger, such as hiring a publicist to stage a car accident that injured several bystanders. She was known to humiliate assistants by forcing them to run errands in revealing outfits and to fire staff for minor mistakes. Mansfield's marriage to bodybuilder Mickey Hargitay was tempestuous. Neighbors frequently called the police to report screaming and objects thrown from windows. Hargitay later stated that Mansfield enjoyed provoking fights for the thrill. Mansfield also manipulated journalists by promising interviews in exchange for personal favors and then reneging. Her relentless pursuit of fame often hurt those around her. Though her life was cut short by a tragic car accident in 1967, the stories of her cruelty have lingered, offering a counterpoint to her bubbly public image. Hollywood's golden age rewarded charm and punished weakness. Some actresses, like Joan Crawford and Bette Davis, were accused of cruelty that later surfaced in memoirs and exposés, while others, including Ava Gardner and Lana Turner, carried reputations shaped largely by rumor. Gossip columnists Hedda Hopper and Louella Parsons turned moral outrage into a weapon, destroying careers with a few lines of print. For figures such as Tallulah Bankhead and Zsa Zsa Gabor, cruelty blurred into theatricality. Sharp tongues, public feuds, even the occasional brawl. Much of this history lies in a haze of myth, hearsay, and studio spin. Still, these stories expose how fame, insecurity, and power could twist human behavior. They remind us that behind the glamour, Golden Age Hollywood was as ruthless as it was radiant. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more deep dives into Hollywood history.